Hey, good morning. What's going on, everybody? Kevin Walsh from Ninja Holistic Health and Fitness. Welcome back once again to Permanent Weight Loss, this month's video series. So we're on episode 2 right now, and what we're looking at is the mental game of weight loss, which is extremely important and very often overlooked in the whole process of trying to lose weight and lose body fat. The first episode, of course, we went over, why are we overweight in the first place? Like, what got us to where we are? And getting clear on that and realizing that we're largely in the driver's seat of creating that reality. That means that we're just as empowered to create a different reality. From that point, then we're able to go to step 2. We have to get clear on that first, though. So if you feel stuck there and you're still having trouble maybe, coming to grips with that as a form of truth, I would invite you to watch that first video again, episode 2, and I'll try to I'll throw that up here in the corner so you can watch it in case maybe that's another lesson that needs to be looked at. But once you're at that stage where you accept that, the next step is the mental game, step 2. So you've got to make sure that the mind is wired for success before you start taking action steps and actually tweaking your diet or trying to add a new exercise routine or something along those lines. So the first thing to understand is that perception creates our reality. The way that we perceive the world around us and the way we perceive ourselves is what creates our life, is what creates our reality. So however we perceive everything in our life, the way we feel, the way we look, is going to unfold along that avenue. And because of that, that brings us to the second thing here, which is, what is your self-image? The way that you perceive yourself, the image in your mind, or the archetype of who you are, what you are, is what drives all of our behavior. So what I would invite you to do is to really think, what image do you have of yourself? Do you perceive yourself as, for example, a fat person who's always been fat, always been overweight, struggling, and I'm a failure, everything I've done hasn't worked, and I'm destitute? If that is the perception that you have, if that's your self-image, remember, perception creates reality. All of the things, health and fitness-wise, in your life are going to unfold down that route. So this has to be very, very carefully changed before you can really expect any results from the action steps that come afterward. Now, if your self-image is healthier and you have a self-image that says, I am capable of accomplishing whatever task that I want to, or I'm in pretty good shape, not bad, but it could be better. Whatever it is, whatever the perception that you have is on multiple levels, that's going to create the framework of your actions. So from there, understanding that, the third thing is, how do you perceive failure? So once you have a grip on your self-image, what you really look at yourself as, do you perceive failure as something that's action-based or identity-based? And this is a really critical piece, and I invite you to be very, very careful not to overlook this, because there's a difference between saying, I am a failure, and I have failed, or I've had failures in the past. You see, there's a very clear, distinct difference. If you are a failure, that's an identity that's just a part of you, almost like a stamp. And if, for example, I have this birthmark, if you can see it right here, that little brown spot that's been with me since I was born, that's a part of my physical body that that I can't change unless I had it like laser removed. That's the way that we perceive ourselves when identity is intertwined with failure. It's like a part of who we are that can't change. So if you are a failure, you're really going to be in lockdown mode and constantly recycling the same activities over and over again, because again, that's your self-image. You are a failure in that instance, and so the self-image is very negative and damaged, and that creates the reality. So if you can identify yourself as just a person who has failed, now that is it's sort of a stepping stone. It's like, okay, I've had a failure, and that failure just combines with other failures. They're things that I've done, but they don't define me. And that's a very healthy way to look at that, at the F word, if you will. Now, the next thing is neuroplasticity. This is where you can start to get into some of the action steps. Neuroplasticity basically means that the mind, the brain, is very malleable and it's adaptable and it can be changed. So it's not stuck in one exact mold, if you will, like a hand in cement that's dried and then just stays there forever. Our brains can be molded and changed based on our environment and based on how we want to perceive ourselves. And that's the escape door for us. So if we realize that we can actually change our own mental patterns, if we have things that are here in our self-image that aren't really in our best interest, this means that we can change those consciously in our mind. And I'll get to that in further down the line. And from there, what we do is we have to actually change the way that we think. It's very, very critical that you do that. Don't expect things to just sort of happen on the outside without changing the inside. You got to change the inside first. And the way that you do that, and I've shared this before, is recapitulation. So the recapitulation is a process where you take experiences that you've had in the past and you purge yourself of the negative emotional kind of baggage and like an energetic charge that's still with us. Like, for example, if we've had negative experiences with our family or parents, oftentimes, when we see them, we'll have sort of a twitch reaction or a certain knee-jerk reaction to them saying certain things or even just being in their presence. And that's based on our past history that's sort of left a residual, almost like a pig pen from Peanuts cartoon, if you will, kind of baggage that sticks with us. So we got to let go of all that stuff. Otherwise, we keep repeating the same behaviors. So that right there is going to help you to basically release any of those tense thoughts and feelings. And this is just a quick, I'll leave this PDF here in the email so you can go ahead and print that out and check it out. These are the recapitulation steps, and I've used this to my advantage, and it's had an enormous impact on my life. I can tell you it's been a huge game changer for me, and I continue to recapitulate pretty much every single day as a regular routine. The more of it you do, it's just like, it's like a muscle. You build your emotional balance, emotional, cleansing muscle. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and then the easier it is to change the self-image and change the way that you think. So I definitely invite you to take advantage of that. And then once you've done that, boom, now you're ready for step 3. Now you're ready to go on and actually create a plan to tweak your diet, to exercise more, to manage your stress, getting better sleep, whatever components need to go together into that plan. But you see how this is so important. You've got to get this lined up first. And we all typically go right to step 3. We go right to creating a plan and then trying to execute on the plan without changing the software inside the mind first. So this is going to change the software, and once the software is changed, it's a lot easier to change the hardware that comes from the behavioral patterns that you are going to now engage in. So with that said, I hope that's helpful for you. Really try to get with these 2 sections here. The top part is understanding who you are, where you are in terms of your identity, perceptions, and then the bottom 3 here, or the bottom 2 really here, this is just a thumbs up. This is how you kind of actually change all of this stuff, all right? So with that said, I hope that's helpful for you. If you need any help with this, definitely feel free to email me, kwninjatrainer@gmail.com, and I'm happy to give any help that I can along the way that hopefully may illuminate your path a little bit and give you some motivation to do these things in the first place. So with that said, we'll move on to step 3 coming on next week, which is again creating the plan, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how you actually do the things that need to be done to lose weight once you have the mental framework for doing so. So I throw all of my best wishes out there to you who are trying to lose weight. I lost 60 pounds myself and became an athlete, and I'm a very, very firm believer that you can do the same thing in your own life. So whatever it is that you want to achieve, keep that in mind at all times, that anything is possible and that you can make your life whatever you dream it to be, health and fitness wise. Don't let those negative emotions bog you down. You can let go of all that stuff. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you next week for the next episode. Take care.